The entire village gathered in silence. The king stood tall before his people, his staff planted firmly into the earth. His voice echoed across the courtyard. "If you wish to marry my daughter, you must prove you are worthy." The crowd gasped. The poor young man stepped forward, his heart pounding but his eyes steady. "What must I do, my king?" The king's face was unreadable. "In 7 days, bring prosperity to this village, without gold, without land, without help from my palace." A murmur spread through the crowd. "If you fail," the king continued, "you will leave this kingdom and never return." On the first day, the young man walked through the village. He had no money, no land, no title, only determination. The villagers whispered behind him, "He's brave, but he will fail." He noticed the dried riverbed that once fed their crops. He saw broken fishing nets stacked by the shore. He saw farmers arguing instead of working together. By the third day, exhaustion began to weigh on him. Nothing had changed. Doubt crept into his mind. What if the king was right? But on the fourth day, he made a decision. He gathered the youth of the village. "We may be poor alone," he said firmly, "but together we are strong." They cleared the blocked river channel with their bare hands. They repaired old fishing nets. They organized the farmers to plant fast-growing crops before the rains. Slowly, something shifted. Water began to flow again. Fish returned to the nets. Children laughed as food filled their bowls. Hope returned. On the 7th day, the king stood before him once more. "So," the king said coldly, "what have you brought me?" The young man knelt. "I brought no gold, my king." He turned and gestured toward the village. "But I brought unity. I brought effort. I brought leadership." The king looked around. The people were smiling. The land was alive again. For the first time, the villagers bowed, not to the king, but to the young man. Silence filled the air. Then the king's voice softened. "I was never testing your wealth." He looked at his daughter. "I was testing your strength." The king stepped forward. "Years ago, I was once a poor man too, and I feared my daughter would marry someone without power." He paused. "But today, I see true royalty does not come from gold. It comes from character." The princess ran into the young man's arms. The king raised his staff high. "You have proven yourself. You may marry my daughter." The village erupted in celebration. Drums filled the air. Joy spread like wildfire. But as the sun began to set, the king looked toward the distant horizon, because greatness attracts attention, and not every kingdom celebrates the rise of a new leader.